where we give you the daily news bulletins of the day every day from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. My name's Okumaringa Christine. Before we dive into any of the stories, let's first have a look at the news making headlines today. In the headlines tonight, Swedish government withdraws financing Uganda's social protection. Conserving the shea nut tree through sports. And President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni launches National Population and Housing Census 2024. This and more in the NILE CAST News Bulletin. A very warm welcome, viewer, to the NILE Cast, only on West Nile Television. Now let's dive into some of the stories of the evening. The Swedish government has announced the withdrawal of their support towards the financing of Uganda's social protection interventions amidst the overwhelming demand for the international funding to boost the country's economy. According to the representatives of the Swedish government from the Swedish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Uganda government should prepare to sustain $50 million projects nearing closure. Frederick Jamadri has more.
The Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, through the Swedish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, financed social protection interventions in Uganda worth $50 million, an equivalent of 185 billion Ugandan shillings, in the refugee hosting districts of Arua, Adjumani, Mariokolo, Terego, Yumpe, Moyo, and Obongi for Western region, targeting over 3 million beneficiaries. According to the Swedish embassy based in Kampala, they are no longer going to fund any social protection interventions in the country, and urge the ministries, departments and agencies in the country to intervene and also finance internally the social protection interventions.
Our development cooperation strategy with Uganda ends this year, and we are not yet received a new strategy for our development cooperation.
This withdrawal of funding for Uganda's social protection by the Swedish government comes at a time the current funded projects, including NutriCast, that are implemented by World Food Programme, UNICEF and Save the Children, that targeted lactating mothers with babies below the age of 2 years, pregnant mothers and other vulnerable groupings, which commenced in the wake of the COVID-19 outbreak in the country in 2020, is closing by December 31st, 2023. According to Gustav Linkog, the Swedish Embassy Secretary for Humanitarian and Resilient Support in Uganda, the government of Uganda should be able to realign her priorities and strategize on addressing the social protection demands of the people.
So it's important that we already now start to think about exit strategy aspects of sustainability, as well as potential next steps. If we would like to continue, if we don't want to continue, and how future collaborations in the area of social protection could look like.
Whereas Moses Sechai, the chief of social policy in UNICEF, says the situation of social protection in Uganda is still wanting, as most of the population remains vulnerable.
And these challenges, unless we address them, will have devastating and irreversible effects on children and adolescents, and the impacts of those challenges that we have will actually transcend generations. That is why we need nothing less than transformational and systemic changes that are critical in addressing the underlying causes of children's mortality, poverty, vulnerability, gender inequality, and all the other issues that we have.
During the recent visit by the Parliamentary Committee on Social Protection, Flavia Kabayenta, the chairperson of the committee, reveals that the country is not doing well in terms of financing her own social protection interventions.
In the whole of Africa, Uganda is not doing well in financing social protection. We are only at 0.7% of the GDP in social protection, and our social protection interventions are reaching only to 6.5% of Ugandans. But they are telling you the people living in abject poverty are 39%.
World Bank puts Uganda among the lowest income countries in social protection, with the majority of the population of about 79% failing to afford the poverty line bar of 8,000 shillings per day. Frederick Tamatri, West Nile TV, NILE CAST.
And more in our stories. During the burial of the late Peter Tango, the Catechist of Kuba Church of Uganda, Alia Parish, Jonam Archdeaconry Nebi Diocese, Christians have been urged to be the salt of the world and being obedient to God as the festive season draws closer. This appeal was made by the ordinance of the Church of Uganda during the burial prayers that took place at Kuba Village, Mukale Parish, Pakwach Sub-County, Pakwach District. Alfred Jawok has more.
The appeal was made today by Ordinand Sharon Oyenchbot during the burial of Peter Tengo, Catechist Koba Church of Uganda, Aila Parish, Jonam Archdeaconry, Nebi Anglican Diocese. Her appeal comes barely 2 weeks to Christmas, when believers prepare to welcome the birth of Jesus Christ, where people hope to have good clothes, drinks, and food, forgetting the meaning of Christmas, which is supposed to be celebrated spiritually. According to Yenbot, most believers have a tendency of celebrating the day in joy, which contradicts the will of God. She further called upon parents to always accompany their children with an older person, so that the child cannot be overtaken by wrong people during this festive season.
Itindu Israeli kile majibeli ng'ombile zitu kinwango masendi giywaki wa Mungu ketumwane kimidu baeni te kwa kadi masendi le wangeo nya Mungu nikani wangeo nya makuwaruo wangeo nya makuwa kwa kisa wangeo nya sawa sheke makuwa besheni ni kumongo entore kile magi ai kulingo bezitu kile magi wodu gi kulingo bezitu ma Mungu telu wigi kara ya ikafi kuli masendi magi kadu kuliye neni tindu maesha widi kumlende pa Mungu shalu walbene shalu nyetindu pa Mungu dindu matini kado Mungu tini wadina ngo wiwadogu widi kumberu ma Mungu shukutimu iweni tumaeni uketumbu nenti agoni kulinyoro maniye ento sekini foyo shalu da Kristo niya wanga yomibe woti yeno ajoga maibe timuno shimarash nila keshe mupo miyadude perino adegi mupo miyadude perino kesh niri lebe matungtunga di shokrenge ungesh perino katin poli kwetu na ijobu tu shukingo wa Mungu ya Kristo Mungu washine daru nikio tibera gonya washunya kaponi dong lebe boku kidongi kwa mashopu ketu waneno wanego ene Mungu mashopu ketu wawotango atire wane shalu du Kristo edo watushi ento kawa shopu tushugigo ene Mungu ledonge gonyo wa tingi muberu beja Kristo uketi dong nindu mati kadi shalu wa juru nyoru Jumanga di goni awiyami gi kungineno ngalo ponju gi dongo la ropogi kai we shule de matina ni nyatino lo kule keturani du matini tidu mwagi be nyotre bumwana churu nyoru le dongo washushalu Mungu washukumae nyado tingi mubero peri.
Peter Tengo was the founder of Koba Church of Uganda in 1978 and served in different churches before his demise on 7th December this year at Pakwachal Center 4, and he was laid today at his ancestral home, Koba Village, Mukale Parish, Pakwach Sub-County, Pakwach District. Alfred Jawok, West Nile TV, NILE CAST.
Launched the Uganda Bureau of Statistics National Population and Housing Census 2024 program at Kololo Independence Ground in Kampala City. The census enumeration is scheduled for the 10th of May 2024, where all people and property within the bounds of Uganda will be counted. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics projects Uganda's population to be 46.2 million people. During his address, President Yoweri Museveni said that you cannot plan properly for people you do not know. We can only plan and deliver services properly for people if we know the state. Why every Ugandan endeavor to be counted. And Housing Census 2024 is introducing 3 crucial questionnaires: household, community, and institutional. more than they have and try as much as possible to have a plan. Professor Samuel Sejaka, while speaking to 230 officers between the ranks of senior commander of police, police constable retiring from the active service of the Uganda Police Force at the police headquarters in Naguru, advised the police retirees to manage their properties because their resources are now going to be limited and you need to live within your means. You're most welcome to the NILE CAST Sports News only on West Nile Television. I will be filling in for Owen Azaga. Let's see what's happening in the world of sports. Shea nut tree has a lifespan of 205 years and currently facing depletion as a result of man's activities such as deforestation of charcoal and firewood, as the masses believe the tree has its best products. To conserve the tree for generations, a Shea Nut and Natural Oil Conservation Limited is looking for conserving the tree through sports, and they have organized a Shea Nut Tree Conservation Tournament, which will begin on the arrivals of the players at Midigo in Yumbe District. Take a look.
In an attempt to conserve the Shea nut tree species that is currently facing extinction as a result of man's unfavorable activities such as tree cutting for charcoal, firewood and farming among others, Shea Nut and Natural Oil Conservation Limited is holding the second edition of the Shea Nut Conservation Tournament to raise awareness among the locals. The football tournament, which started today with the arrival of the teams, will officially commence tomorrow with the opening ceremony and will run until the 19th of December 2023 as areas and teams from the Shea Nut catchment areas tussle it out. Ejotre Mbran, the Chief Executive Officer of Shea Nut and Natural Oils Conservation Limited, the organizers of the tournament, says it is aimed at ensuring the sustainability of the campaign within the areas that have the trees.
When the funding is 3 years, when that funding is over, all the gains go back to square one. So we thought, how can we approach conservation from the perspective that it can be continuously sustainable? And how we intend to achieve that is what drove us to start something like this, where we can promote the value chain right from where the Shea nuts are and make the tree popular, because it is only when the people who understand the tree, who live with the tree, who collect these nuts, understand the value of the tree, that's when the tree can be safe. Otherwise, they can easily choose to cut it for charcoal.
Miraj Osman, the person in charge of the tournament, says that they opted for football since it is the easiest way to reach out the population, as they intend to extend the competition to the other sports disciplines as well.
We arrived at very many methods of how to conserve, but we all say this one is one of the easiest ways to conserve. If you want to spread the message very fast and for it to go very far, you do it through sports, involve the young people. These same young people are the ones who cut down these trees. They have a lot of energy. So if we spread the message through sports, football specifically, it will reach very far.
Similarly, Akim Sijali, the conservation officer, Shea Nut and Natural Oils Conservation Limited, says that the campaign is already yielding results and they're also looking forward to continuing with the campaign so as to ensure mindset change among the population.
In 2011, we had only 4 tons of nuts collected from these locations because the community was not aware of the importance of the natural source, and that might be the ultimate cause of devastation. But when we intervened in 2022, we intervened with organizing sporting event targeting the youths, as the conservation tournament has put. It is the youth who have energy to do the devastation. But when we harness that energy into showcasing that talents into sports, we are able to reach out to the message that is so important, is changing the mind of the people living there. And that action translated into collection of more nuts. As I'm talking, we have reached like 20 tons.
Midgo Town Council are the past winners of the inaugural tournament after defeating Arilo sub-county in the finals. The second edition is expected to be bigger, as 11 teams have already confirmed participation in the second edition of the tournament. The best teams will walk away with trophies, medals, and money and other gifts, as the other categories such as the best team, most valuable player, and other categories will also be awarded as well. Farish Majid, West Nile TV, NILE CAST Sports News.
And that, viewer, marks the end of the NILE Cast only on West Nile Television. Thank you, viewers, for always being with us from the beginning of the NILE Cast to the end of the NILE Cast only on West Nile Television. Please stay tuned to the rest of the subsequent programs that may follow. My name's Okumringa Christine. Have a good evening.